All right, this is going to be just an introduction of how to manipulate. Let's say you have multiple Excel files, and when you open those up, on this second column here, you have density. Now, I know this is in pounds per cubic foot, but let's say instead of going from pounds per cubic foot, you want all of your files to have an output here that is in density in kilograms per cubic meter. And you don't want to have to come in here and do the conversion, which I don't even know. I'll have to look that up. So 1 kilogram per cubic meter. Well, let's do it this way. So 16. So you have to multiply for every cubic foot you have to multiply by 16.0185. All right. So instead of you doing that equals this times that density, and then dragging that down the whole, Control C or whatever, and then dragging all that down. You have multiple files. You don't want to sit here and do that all day. Let's say you have 100 of those files. You're going to be here for a long time doing that for each file. So we're going to see if we can use Python to do that, basically do all that for you, and just cycle through every file that you have. And Python, I found out, doesn't like to output these XLS files. There's some things in the libraries it's got that it's just not happy with. So we're going to output it to a new file that is a CSV file, is what we're going to shoot to do. All right, so this is for if you have no experience with this. What you first got to do is go into python.org, go to Downloads, Windows, and download the 64-bit installer, if you've got a 64-bit, which most people do, and then install that. You go through all the process of installing Python, and then once you get Python installed, you should be able to go to your search bar here and type in idle. And then when you type in idle, you have this, what's called this shell. You just delete all this. Well, I'm going to actually go to File, New File. There we go. So it's blank. So I have an untitled, so I went to File. After I go open the idle shell, File, New File, and I've got this blank script that I can start typing with. Now, you can go in and go into YouTube and look up a bunch of basic Python things, but we're just trying to use this as a tool to do what we want to do to change the density in these Excel files, right? So if you have no experience doing this, there's a way now with this AI program called chatGPT. You can go to this website, chat.openai.com, enter, and then basically if you've got a Google account, log in. I'm just going to log in with my Google account. And you can see I've been asking it a lot of different questions. So now you've got this box here, you can ask it a question. So let's go back and look at what we've got. Let's see, it's in this folder here. Let's see. So what I want to ask it to do is, hey, I've got multiple Excel files contained in a directory. I want to create a new column at the very end. So I want to make a program in, make a program in Python. All right. I have multiple files that I want and I want to basically build a new file for each that is a CSV file. Or you can word this a lot better way. I'm just doing this on the fly here. So, all right. In that new CSV file, that has the same name as the original XLS file, I would like to add a new column called density kilogram per meter cubed. To populate this column, I want to multiply an existing column called density by whatever our conversion factor was, this number. For so I'm going to try to go back and look at this. I have multiple XLS files, and I want to build a new file for each that is a CSV file. In that new CSV file, I would like it to have the same name. I would like to add a new column called density in this, and then the populate this column will multiply the existing column called density by this number. Alright, now I'm going to hit enter and see what this thing does. Alright, so it's assuming that you have a library called pandas. If you don't, you'll have to go to your command prompt. Let me see if I can remember what that is. I think it's pip install pandas. I think that's, yeah. So if you, there's a couple of things you have to do because it wants this library. We'll have to go to the command prompt. Just type in cmd down here and it'll pull it up. And now you can type in pip. This is only after you install Python. Install pandas. Okay, mine's already installed, so I'm good to go. So I should be able to run this. All right. The other thing that it's got here is path to files. I'm going to ask you to say I want to have my path to files be the current directory I am working in. Please modify the code to do so. Alright, so now it's saying my current working directory is this CWD variable, and now it's saying, as I'm going through this code, it's going to say if there's a file name in there that ends with XLS, it's going to read that. It's going to then call that DF file into what's called a data frame, and then it's going to add a new column in that data frame called density, and it's equal to the data frame density times that conversion factor, and then it's going to give it a new file name based on the file path name that's already there plus CSV. And let's see if this works. So I'm going to copy this code. All right, I'm going to go back into this idle untitled thing. I'm going to hit Control V. All right, so just paste that. I'm going to save this as a file in the same directory as my other files. So in that case, it's this directory. In my case, it's kind of a long directory, but that's where all of my XLS files are. So I'm going to call this density conversion, or CONV. There we go. All right, so to run this, I can either go to run and hit run module, or you see that F5 there. You just hit the F5 button, and let's see what happens. And it's just giving me this little triple arrow, so let's go back into that. Refresh. So nothing has happened. Oh no. So where did If I run this, I got nothing. And that does end with XLS. All right. This did not, I can tell chatGPT, this did not produce any new files. And then something that I'm noticing in this, and if you've got a little bit of a background in trying to program, you might have caught this, but something that might be a problem is it's got this parentheses .xls lowercase. I wonder if this uppercase is what's giving it problems. I'm going to say, is this because the XLS file name is capitalized? Okay, so it only works with a lowercase XLS extension. So now, it's going to convert if file name lower. So it's converting everything to a lowercase. So that's interesting. That's one way to handle it. The other way to handle it would probably be to just change this to a capital XLS. But we'll do it the same way it did it. Control V. So now we've got this new version there. So I'm just going to hit F5 again. Hit OK. All right, let's see what that did. Okay, we have some new files made, so that's good. Let's go in here and see if this worked. Double click here. And I've got density in kilogram per cubic meter with this new CSV file is created. So let's check it. Something I like to do is check to make sure that this is correct, and something you want to do on one of these files just to make sure it's right. So we'd have to multiply. One way I do this is hit Control and then the down key, get all the way down here and hit letter 1 so it knows when to stop. And then take this density, multiply it by that 16 point. All right, so I'm going to, you didn't see what I just did because I was off another screen, sorry. So here we go. I'm going to check it by typing check here. I'm going to hit Control down, go all the way down to the bottom of that, put just a random number there, and then I can type in equals this times 16.0185. Control C and then Control Shift down and then Control V, and let's see if they match. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now what you've done is you've told it all these files that are going to be contained in here. So if you got 100 of these files, I don't have to save it, because if you have 100 of these files, then it would go through each one of those and do that, make that conversion. So now they're all output as this CSV file. And so now you don't have to go through 100 or 1,000 files and change it, so that now you've got, this new column, and they're all being populated with that kilogram per cubic meter. And you don't have to sit there and go through it all day. And that's just asking it, a few questions with this ChatGPT thing, and telling it, what we want, and just copy and pasting it and hitting F5 and letting it go. So it can save a lot of time if you've got a lot of manipulations you need to make. If you had to do multiple columns, you just tell ChatGPT, hey, I got this other column I want you to look at, or I have multiple files I want to roll into one, or whatever. And then, just check it. And my suggestion would be to do it yourself first manually and kind of go through the steps of what you're wanting to do. And then the trick is then to word that in just plain old English of what you're wanting to do, and maybe just do it step by step by step, to make sure that it's working the way that that it should. Checking at least one of the files to make sure it's propagating or populating the file the way you think it should.